On Capitol Hill right now, House Republican leaders want answers from the Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton herself. CNN has obtained a letter sent to Secretary Clinton demanding to know why more wasn't done to protect American diplomats on the ground in the months leading up to the attack on the United States consulate in Benghazi, and charging that requests for additional security were ignored. CNN's foreign affairs correspondent Jill Doherty is joining us from the State Department now with more information, more details. What's going on here, Jill?
Well, Wolf, here's what we know. These congressional Republicans are charging that there were numerous threats, security breaches, and attacks in Libya leading up to, even before the attack that killed Ambassador Stevens and 3 other Americans. For example, they say that Ambassador Stevens used to jog almost daily, frequently, with his security detail, but that according to their sources, they say a pro-Gaddafi Facebook website posted a stacked photo of Stevens and also a threat against him. So he stopped, temporarily stopped for about a week, and then he went back again. Here's what Congressman Darrell Issa tells CNN.
All indications are the ambassador was not reckless, and he took the advice always of his security forces, including sometimes when they said that meetings needed to be canceled. So I think that this is a failure of intelligence, a failure of security, and a failure of judgment, but not of the now deceased ambassador.
And, Wolf, there are other incidents, in fact, we've been reporting on them all along, that they note. One was an assailant blowing a hole in the security perimeter at the north gate of the Benghazi mission. 2 rocket-propelled grenade rounds were fired at the Benghazi office of the Red Cross. And then finally, the most serious probably was, other than the killing, was the convoy carrying the British ambassador was hit by a militant with a grenade. So that letter, and it's coming from the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee, says that multiple federal government officials told them that the U.S. mission in Libya made repeated requests for increased security in Benghazi, but, quote, were denied these resources by officials in Washington. Now, we have to note, however, that State Department officials have told CNN that security upgrades were made to the Benghazi mission because of those incidents and others. So we are expecting that Secretary Clinton will have a letter responding to the congressman. It's going to be short, but essentially it will pledge cooperation, we are told. And also her spokesperson, Victoria Nuland, was asked about this at the briefing. She said at this point, they cannot go point by point and answer each one because they are still collecting information in all those documents. But here is what she said at the briefing.
We want to get to the bottom of precisely what happened and learn any lessons that we need to learn from it. We're taking this very, very seriously.
And the House committee does plan on holding those hearings on October 10th. They've asked for State Department officials, not specifically Secretary Clinton herself. That, by the way, Wolf, is the only hearing on this issue that will take place before the presidential election. And, of course, the Democrats are saying that that timing is political. Congressman Issa denies that, and he says at this point the indications are that they will get cooperation from the State Department.
So somebody from the State Department will testify at that hearing? Is that what you're hearing, Jill?
Yes, we're not quite sure exactly who will, but they will be up there. They're collecting the documents practically as we speak.
Thanks very much, Jill Doherty, reporting from the State Department. Let's dig a little bit deeper right now with CNN's national security contributor, the former Bush Homeland Security Advisor, Fran Townsend. Fran is a member of the CIA's External Advisory Committee. Back in August, she visited Libya with her employer, McAndrews and Forbes. Were you aware, Fran, of all of these itemized incidents leading up to 9/11, to the 11th anniversary of 9/11, all the security threats that the committee today discussed? Were you aware that all these occurred?
Not all of them, Wolf, although some of them, Jill didn't mention, there were 2 references to carjackings in Tripoli. I mean, the letter from the 2 congressmen go through not only incidents at the Benghazi consulate, but also in Tripoli. And what they paint is a picture, and some of those I did know because I had discussed them with Ambassador Stevens when I visited. What it does is paint the picture of a deteriorating security situation. The other interesting thing, Wolf, I would note is For those people who followed al-Qaeda over the last decade, you know that they often return to the site of failed attacks. So the World Trade Center in '93, they came back in 2001. The USS Cole was a time they came back after missing the USS Sullivan's a year before. And so the fact that they list two attempts to attack the Benghazi consulate previously is another one of those facts that underscores in the counterterrorism community the likelihood that this really is an al-Qaeda-related attack.
Were you familiar with this other explosive allegation that the U.S. mission in Libya asked for greater security, but officials in you'd heard before?
I had not heard that, Wolf, but here's the reason I suspect that the congressmen are asking for documents. Likely, if such a request was made, it would have been done in a cable, in a document. And so there will be a paper trail from the consulate in Benghazi to the embassy in Tripoli to the State Department headquarters and answering it back. Now, some of that we know. We do know that there was some minor increase in security presence at the Benghazi consulate. I think it's fair to say, based on what we know now, it was obviously not enough. And the question is going to be, as you look into exactly what happened when, what did they know? Why didn't they provide more security? And did they act in a way that was reasonable based on what Washington's understanding of the threat was?
I spoke with the Democratic leader in the House of Representatives, Nancy Pelosi, and she pointed out, she insists that the Republicans in the House rejected increased security, funding for increased security. In fact, trimmed the State Department's request by some $300 million worldwide for State Department diplomatic security, clearly suggesting the Republicans have some explaining to do as well.
Well, Wolf, look, it's sort of inevitable in this current season that we're in that there's going to be finger pointing back and forth between the Republicans and Democrats. I don't have any doubt at a time of constricting budgets that there probably were cuts taken. And we're going to have to, part of an investigation is going to look at who took them, where, and why. But I will tell you, I can remember during the Bush administration, the extraordinary cost of the compound, the embassy compound in Iraq, and members of Congress very much questioned why it was so expensive to harden that embassy. And so I don't doubt that members of Congress asked questions. The real issue is going to be, did they make the cuts in the right places, and did, as a result of those cuts, we leave diplomats vulnerable? The
president keeps saying that those who killed Ambassador Stevens and the 3 other Americans will justice will be served as far as they're concerned, which suggests maybe the U.S. is going to go out, hunt for them. We're now being told here at CNN that the Pentagon and the CIA are asking for what's called target packages or information about those who may be responsible, suggesting maybe they will be targeted to be captured or killed. Explain what this means.
You know, Wolf, I'd actually have been surprised if this wasn't going on. So it is, in the wake of the East African, President Clinton ordered TLAM strikes on training camps in Afghanistan and one in Sudan. And so it is not uncommon. After the immediate aftermath of an attack, there will be people devoted to understanding what exactly happened. The intelligence community and law enforcement will be devoted to who is responsible, who should be held accountable for it. And the military, which is the face of what we consider hard power, will look to say, based on what we know, are there targets that are vulnerable to a strike, a retribution strike, and where are they and what do we know about them? They'll also, Wolf, in this process, identify the gaps. If there are particular intelligence gaps that they have, they'll identify those to the intelligence community, set new requirements, and ask them to collect additional information.
Fran Townsend, thanks very much.